Hello students, this is your English mentor again. Today in this unit we will focus on biographical writing on precise description. You will also seek opportunities to learn formal letter, a job advertisement and a CV. Also practice new ways of forming sentences. So firstly, let's look into what autobiography is all about. Autobiography is the story of a person's life told by that very person. Here, auto means self, bio means life, and graphy means printed or written works. Autobiographies take a more introspective approach than biographies. Now, there are various types of autobiographies that you will find, such as full traditional autobiography, memoir, psychological illness, confession, spiritual, and overcoming adversity. Autobiography are important as they see other people in similar circumstances and realize that they are not alone. They can be inspiring for those who are facing problems in their lives. For the author, writing an autobiography allows them to heal as they express their feelings and opinions. Autobiographies are also an important part of history. Setting out to write the story of your life can be daunting, particularly during the first draft. So here is a step-by-step guide to the art of writing your own autobiography. Firstly, start by brainstorming. The writing process begins by compiling any and all life experiences that you suspect might be compelling to a reader. Cover the eras of life, that is from childhood to high school to your first job. Second is draft an outline. Begin to organize a narrative around the most compelling episodes from your brainstorm. If you place your life's important events, you will be able to grab the reader's attention. Third is research. Once your draft is ready, interview your friends, family members to help you remember all the details. Now, no one can remember the full history of their entire life, particularly childhood, so prepare to do some cultural research as well. If you have come up with the key biographical moments around which you can anchor your life story, then you are ready to attempt a first draft. Now, after you complete your first draft, it is better to take a few days off. After that, you can reread your writing with a fresh mind. Next is proofread. Check for grammar mistakes, but most important is you need to identify the weak moments in the narrative and come up with a constructive improvements. Think about what you would look for if reading about another person's life and apply it to your own autobiography. Then comes the second draft. After you complete your second draft, show it to someone or an editor for proofreading. Last is refining your writing. Throughout the process, you will refine your writing skills. Hopefully, you will end up producing a final draft that is leaps and bounds beyond what you produced in the first draft. Next is biography. A biography, or simply we call it bio, is a detailed description of a person's life. It involves more than just the basic facts like education, work, relationships, and deaths. Now, the purpose of a biography is to share the life of another person with an audience. Author chooses to write a biography as they find the person's life story more interesting. Writing a biography can be a fun challenge where you are sharing the story of someone's life with the readers. The very first step that you need to do is seek for permission. Before you dive into your research, Make sure you get the OK confirmation from the subject to write their biography. Ask them if they are willing to be the subject. Getting their permission will make your writing more easier. Second is research. Regardless of how much you know about your subject, an extensive amount of research is necessary. Third is form your thesis. Inform your reader what they will be reading or learning about the subject. Also provide relevant information. Fourth is make a timeline of the person's life. To help you organize your research, make a timeline of the person's entire life, starting from birth. Highlight key events or moments on the timeline. Include important dates, locations, and names. Next is flashbacks. Flashbacks are where you move from the present to the past. You may start with a present moment and then include a scene of the person's past, or you may have one chapter that focuses on the present and one chapter that focuses on the past. Include your opinions and thoughts about the person. As a biographer, you play the role in the person's life story. Do not be afraid to put your own thoughts about the person. Next comes the proofread. Check for spellings, grammar, and punctuation. Having a biography riddled with spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors can turn off your readers and result in poor reviews. Lastly, cite all sources used. Make sure you cite any sources you quote directly or paraphrase. It includes information from sources such as books, magazines, articles, or interviews. Next is informative text. Informative text seek to be truthful, objective, and precise, and it does not seek to be beautiful. The main purpose of informative text is to educate others, express one's opinion, and also tries to convince the reader and to take actions. Remember, if your essay is interesting enough, it may move the readers to learn more about the subject or the topic. Informative text shows why something has happened, why certain conditions exist, and what resulted an action or condition. Now, moving on to the structure, it is very simple. It just needs to have a beginning, middle, and ending. These are known formally as introduction, body, and conclusion, respectively. Choose an appropriate topic. Second is research and gather information about your topic. Third comes the outline. Here the outline means the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So firstly, in the introduction, inform the readers what your topic is about. Remember that the introduction needs to be strong and clear. It is where you grab the reader's attention. Introduction can be of a paragraph or more depending on the requirements and circumstances. Introduce the main ideas and lastly describe what will be covered in the topic. Then comes body. Provide solid and factual information. The body can be of several paragraphs. Make sure to go deep into every area which was previously described in the introduction. Lastly, conclusion. Here, write down the summary of what your article is about and what your readers have learned, also the message that you intend to tell the readers. Always end on a high note, encouraging your readers to learn more. Lastly, have some read your essay and offer their ideas for improvement. Of course, don't forget to pay attention to grammar, punctuation, spellings, and other errors as well. Letters are and always have been one of the effective means of communication. But in today's internet and email-driven society, the need to write a formal letter arises less often than in the past. However, it is still occasionally necessary to present a formal letter to obtain information. It can be to apply for an academic program or a job. It can be a complaint letter or simply to express your opinion in an effective manner. Remember that the first impression is the one that lasts. Use good quality paper and an envelope for your formal letter. Make sure that the recipient is addressed properly and that his or her name is spelled correctly. A formal letter comprises of the following elements: address, that is the sender's, then the date, then the receiver's address, then salutation, body text, and ending. Sender's address. Here, always write your address on the top left-hand corner. Then comes date. Date is written below the sender's address. Third is receiver's address. After leaving a space or a line, always mention the receiver's address just below the date. Subject. The main purpose of the letter forms the subject. It must be written in one line. It must convey the matter for which the letter is written. Then comes salutation. Skip one line after the subject and then type salutation. Your choice of salutation depends on whether or not you know the intended recipient. The most usual greeting is dear or respected, followed by the person's name. Now, if you don't know whether the person you are addressing is a man or a woman, you may begin with dear or respected sir or madam. Or it can be miss if you don't know the status of a woman. Furthermore, if the person has a specific title such as doctor, make sure you use it. Now, the writing section. Skip one line after the salutation and begin with the body. The body is divided into 3 paragraphs. This is the main part of the letter. It is best to use short, clear, logical paragraphs to state your business. Now, in the first paragraph or the introduction, it needs to be short and on point. Mention the purpose of the letter in the first paragraph itself so that the reader is clear about your intention behind writing the letter. The second paragraph or the body of the letter should contain some relevant details with reference to the purpose stated in first paragraph. The last concluding paragraph should talk about the action you expect the recipient of the letter to take. Maintain a requesting tone in the last paragraph, which is the conclusion. Now, sign off with an appropriate closing statement followed by your signature and full name. The most preferred salutation are yours faithfully or yours sincerely, etc. Job advertisement. Job advertisement is your first chance to attract talented individuals to your roles. This is also the first impression that candidates will get of your business, and you know what they say about first impression. Today, we will learn how to structure an advertisement and the content that we need to include. Firstly, job advertisement is an announcement that informs people that a certain job position is available. Job advertisement can take in many forms such as newspapers, billboards, or posts on channels. Now, getting the structure right is an important first step towards writing a strong advertisement. This will ensure that you have a clear layout and include the most relevant information. The basic checklists to follow when writing job advertisement are job title, salary, location, introduction to your business, role and responsibilities, and key requirements. that is qualifications and skills. Now, what needs to be included in each section? Firstly, job title. It is one of the most important part of writing an advertisement. This is where you can attract the readers and the candidates. Always come up with a creative and unique title. Second is salary and location. Below the job title, it is common practice to include salary and location. It is an effective way to ensure that you attract the right candidate. Without this information, you risk a host of job hunters applying despite not living locally. Third comes the introduction. You need a small introduction, just a few sentences, which describes your business and the role you are advertising for. Here is your chance to let the candidate know a little bit more about your business and why you are a great company to work for. Next comes objectives. After you introduce the position, it's a good idea to set out the goals and objectives. It need not be long. This is where the candidate will understand the role that they will be playing and the contribution that they will be putting in. Next, it's important to outline what the role will entail and list a few of the main responsibilities. Break up these ideas into bullet points or short paragraphs. It will be more easier to understand. The responsibilities of the role are important to candidates. No one wants boring daily tasks or to end up disliking their jobs. As such, it's vital to always be honest about what will be expected of candidates. There are a number of parts for key requirements. Use bullet points for requirements, stat qualifications, personality traits, and soft skills. For example, you may want them to be enthusiastic, with good communication skills, etc. If you would like someone with a certain amount of experience, this is your chance to highlight this. Try to include the benefits and perks that the candidate would receive. Remember that workplace perks are important to today's professionals, so don't forget to include in your job advertisement. So always follow the simple structure and make sure that you include only relevant information. That way, candidates can decide quickly if they are interested in the role and see if they have the required skills for the job. CV or curriculum vitae means course of life in Latin. It highlights detailed information of someone's professional history, education, skills, and achievements. It is a document that is being provided to an employer for consideration for an open job position. While your CV should be specific to your background and tailored to the job for which you are applying, there are several steps you can take to ensure you write an effective CV. Most CVs include contact information, academic history, professional experience, qualification and skills, awards and publications, volunteer work, hobbies and interests, and personal information. In contact information, include your full name, phone or mobile number and email address, and also your physical address. This is the first thing that an employer will see. Number 2, include your detailed academic history in reverse chronological order. Example, postgraduate program, then comes graduate school, undergraduate school, and high school. Dates are optional. Third, in professional experience, list the names of the company, title, and dates employed starting from your most recent job. You can also list the duties and achievements, etc. Skills highlights the most important that an employer is looking for. It can be both hard and soft skills. Now outline your achievements. Start with the award name followed by year, organization, and details about the award. For example, how often the award is given or how many people received it, etc. And you can also add hobbies, but these are optional. Connectives. Connectives are linking words that are used to link sentences and paragraphs. They are divided into 4 groups. They are used to start a new point or paragraph, to add information, to show contrast, and to show or express cause and effect. To start a new point or paragraph, we can use to begin with or to start with. For example, to begin with, I am John. To join similar ideas or give extra information within one sentence, we usually use and we use also, besides, moreover, furthermore, in addition, etc. We will see how they are used. Let's start with also. Place also at the beginning of the second sentence. For example, I am a native English speaker. Also, I speak fluent in Spanish. It can be placed in the middle of a sentence, such as I play guitar well. I am also good at sports. For besides, moreover, furthermore, in addition, we usually put them at the beginning of the second sentence. Example, playing sports can keep fit. Furthermore, it can reduce stress. Next, we usually use but to express contrast. For example, I seldom smile, but I am nice. Besides but, we can use however in contrast and on the contrary at the beginning of the second sentence. For example, I love surfing the internet. However, it is bad for eyes. Lastly, apart from using because, we can use therefore, as a result, so, and since to express cause and effect. We can use therefore and as a result both at the beginning of the second sentence or in the middle of the sentence. We can only use so in the middle of the sentence. For example, I wear helmet when riding on a bicycle so I won't get hurt. Last, we can use as and since at the beginning of a sentence. Example, as or since my legs are hurt, I can't play football. The effect is mentioned after the cause, or we can use them in the middle of the sentence. However, the effect will be stated first. Semicolon. It is used to join two closely related independent clauses in order to make a compound sentence. In other words, if you have two simple sentences that are related and you want to combine them to make one sentence, you can do that with a semicolon. You can show cause and effect with a semicolon. Also, you can use it to show a comparison or contrast between two things. Combine independent clauses with a connective word. For example, I have a big test tomorrow. I can't go out tonight. Connectives versus semicolons. Semicolons link up two related ideas by narrowing the gap between the ideas of two separate sentences or by replacing a connectives between two related ideas. That goes for showing contrast too. Just because two ideas are opposed and contradictory, that doesn't mean they aren't related closely enough to earn themselves a semicolon. For example, I am not at all fond of the colors of tiger lilies. Then comes the semicolon, moreover, comma, they don't smell very good. Second example is John, comma, a lawyer, comma, voted me. After this comes a semicolon, but this time Adam voted yes. A semicolon isn't the only thing that can link two independent clauses. Connectives can do that too, but you cannot use a connective and a semicolon. That means when you use a semicolon, you use it instead of the ands, buts, and ors. You don't have to use both. Here's a hint. If you used a comma and an and to link two related ideas, think of the period as a replacement and you need a comma plus something to avoid comma splice. That something can either be the right connectives or the period that turns a comma into a semicolon. Second is, when a connectives merges two sentences into one, it should be preceded by a comma. For example, Mark trained as a firefighter and Paul trained as a solicitor. The connectives and has merged the two sentences into one. The sentences have now become independent clauses of a single compound sentence. Third is, if a sentence contains comma, it is possible to use a semicolon before the connectives to make the sentence structure a little more clearer. Example, Mark, 23, trained as a firefighter, and Paul trained as a solicitor. Using a semicolon in this way is quite outdated practice. However, you can still use a semicolon if you think it makes things clearer for your readers. Prefixes and suffixes. A syllable or a word part added to the beginning of a word is called a prefix. A prefix has a meaning but it is not a word. For example, un, none, this, re, sub, etc. are all prefixes. Some more examples of prefixes are: let the word be happy and let prefix be un. So the new word is unhappy. Now look at the sentence. I am happy. Now if you add a prefix, then the sentence turns out to be I am unhappy. Now remember that a prefix can change the meaning of a word. Some antonyms are formed by adding prefixes to words. Suffixes. A syllable or a word part added to the end of a word is called a suffix. Now a suffix changes the meaning of the word. Some antonyms are also formed by adding suffixes to words. For example, words such as ed, en, less, full, ing, etc. are all suffixes. Examples to use suffixes are let the word be talk and let the prefix be ed. Now the new word formation is talked. Now in the sentence, she wants to talk to you. Now if you have to add a suffix that is ed, the sentence turns out to be she barely talked to me. Participle. Participle are verbs, adjectives. They are perfect and progressive. These mighty verbs take many forms and can be tricky. To start, participles are words derived from verbs that can function as adjectives or as parts of verb phrases to create verb tenses. To put in simple terms, participle will look like a verb but may have a different role in a sentence. Now they are divided, or the main two important participle are the present participle and the past participle. Present participle. Adding ing to the base form of a verb creates the present participle. When ing forms are used to make continuous tense form, they are called present participle. They always end in ing. They also functions as an adjective and modifies a noun. For example, eat is the base form of the verb to eat. Now the present participle of eat is eating. Other examples of present participles include the winning person gets a trophy. The present participle here is winning and it is describing the noun person. Present participle also appears in progressive verb tense. A sentence in the present progressive tense is she is sitting now. A sentence in past progressive tense is she was sitting there. A sentence in future progressive tense is She will be sitting at her desk in an hour. All three of these sentences indicates when she was or is in the process of sitting. Past participles are form of a verb typically ending in ed, which is used in forming perfect and passive tenses. A participle indicates a completed action or state. Past participle verbs are sometimes referred to as third form. Past participle verbs are most known for their usage in the perfect tenses. They are also used in all tenses in passive voice. They are irregular and regular verbs. Regular past participle verbs are formed using the suffix ed. They are unique in that way. Most past participles are also used as a noun modifiers or adjective. In passive voice, the verb to be is used. For example, have you eaten breakfast yet? Here, eaten is the past participle. Have they already arrived? Here, arrived is the past participle. Let us now look at past participle adjective examples. The company that I worked for is satisfied with my work. He was disgusted by the ongoing investigation. I am interested in basketball and football. Remember that adding the suffix ed is used to refer to feelings. Parallel structures. Parallel structures means using the same pattern of words to show that two or more words or ideas are of equal importance. Writers use parallel structures to add clarity to their writing and to make it easier to understand. It also adds value to a writer's overall composition and shows that their writing is structurally and grammatically correct. Writers use parallel structures in the words and phrases in their sentences. Parallel structures are used with a variety of structures including infinitives, words, clauses, and lists. Parallel structures should be used when you connect clauses with a coordinating connectives such as for, nor, but, so, yet, etc. Parallel structures should be used with infinitives. Be consistent and use parallel structures with words that ends in ing. For example, he likes running, walking, and being active. Parallel structures are also used with phrases or clauses of comparison. When connected to two clauses or phrases with a word of comparison such as then or as, use parallel structures. Example, I would rather pay for education than financial aid. Now this is not a parallel structure sentence. The actual sentence should be, I would rather pay for my education than receive financial aid. The importance of parallel structures provides flow in a sentence. It keeps your writings balanced and makes it easier to read. It also shows ideas are of equal importance. With this, we have come to an end of our unit. Stay home and stay safe.